60,000 years ago, when we was used to live inside a cave, and for the first time we took in our hand a clap stick. Was it a tool or a weapon? The same thing is with AI and technology. Good evening and thank you very much for having me tonight. I'm so excited to be here in this wonderful cathedral with a so vibrant church. And I'm also so happy to see a lot of former students of Roman institution like Gregorian that are here now as clergy, as nuns, as religious, to see that show me that we could live in different parts of the world, but we have simple one church. And this let me reflect on the idea that before having one artificial intelligence in the cloud, there is something that is more general, that is one faith on the earth. And for this reason, let me go straight in the direction of tonight's topic, that is, could we have some kind of ethical reflection on artificial intelligence that could help the world to develop something that is not a weapon but a tool for the common good. And to do this, we have first to answer to one question. What does it mean to talk about ethics of technology? Because, there is a problem. And the problem is this. 60,000 years ago, when we was used to live inside a cave, and for the first time we took in our hand a clap stick. Was it a tool or a weapon? And so we can conclude that there is no tool that cannot become a weapon. And this makes ethics useless if we remain in this perspective. And so to talk about ethics of technology, we must change a little bit the perspective. To try to explain what does it mean, ethics of technology, let's start from some example from the past. One of the most famous examples come from New York City, Manhattan, and it's connected to the life of a famous politician, Robert Moses. Robert Moses has a really clear ideological view on society. For Robert Moses, the best part of the city has to be for the best part of population. And in his perspective was the white, rich middle class. And so the idea was, in which way we can keep one of the best beach near New York City only for rich people. To do this, first of all, he didn't build any public transportation system. There is no train. And in the second things, when he built an highway from New York City to this place, on this highway, the bridge are 2 feet, 66 centimeters lower than the standard. No buses can commute on that street. Only the people that at that time can afford a car can go to the beach. And this is the first perspective of ethics of technology. Every technological artifact is a displacement of power, is a form of order. And so today is not anymore a matter of asphalt and concrete with the street, but with the algorithms behind artificial intelligence, we could allow someone to be considered as a human being, someone else to be considered something that is not valuable. Maybe a lot of you know well how to program, how to code a computer. Every time that you write a loop like if this, then that, you are allowing something to happen and something else not to happen. In this space, as a Christian, we have to put some question. And the question is, what does it mean to be human? What is the value of being humans? The numerical value behind the algorithms is not the same things of the human value that we know. And my personal experience in the last years is that the first people that make to themselves this kind of question today are the engineers. They asking to themselves which kind of effect will have my technology for the society. And so I'm telling this to you as a brother in Christ. The gospel pushes us to be bring also to this new frontier. Every time that is in question, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be creature of a creators? Well, the gospel ping on us to make this question. There is no neutral technology. Every time that a technological artifact is deployed inside the society, there is this kind of effect. And there is another example that I need to show you. In the 1970, in California, United States, there was 3,200 farmers that grew tomatoes. Well, at that time, for this farm, was needed a lot of worker that every season come from Mexico and come back to Mexico. In the 1975, the University of California of Los Angeles invented a new machine. That machine was able to pass over the tomatoes and to pick all the tomatoes, destroy the rest of the plant, and box the tomatoes ready to be sold. The cost of harvesting tomato dropped down to $2 for tons. In the 1980, 10 years later, the number of farm from 2,300 was less than 300. The number of tomato grew, but the number of farmer lower. Well, the problem was that that machine cost at that time $175,000. That is the equivalent of $500,000 today. Well, only the people that can afford that expense survive to the market. And so innovation produce a contraction of the market and give power to few players. And there was also another effect. And for an Italian like me, it's intolerable. To allow a tomato in 1975 to be picked by a machine, they have to select a new species of tomatoes. That tomato is tasteless. No good pizza. Well, beside the jokes, every time that we put innovation, there is a contraction of the market. Only few people acquire the power. There is a changing in the nature of the product. And try to think to the news on the media in the age of digital. Only the news that are good for the social platform are the news that are picked. And only the editors that can pay the social platform can survive. Third and last example from the past. There are two kinds of technology. One kind is called special purpose technology. A special purpose technology is something that is needed to do something as a special purpose. So the glass is needed to drink. I can do bigger or stronger glass, but they are always used to drink. Or try to, for example, to move. I can use an horse, I can use a car, I can use an airplane. Well, there is one moment in the human history in which we develop a special technology that is called general purpose technology. Try to think to electricity. It's not used to do one thing, but today it's really difficult to find something that works without electricity. Well, artificial intelligence is a general purpose technology. It's not used to do one thing, but it's everywhere. From the toothbrush, electrical toothbrush with AI, to the washing machine, up to the smartphone. Well, what happened when we develop a general purpose technology? Look at the slide that I'm projecting. On the left side, there is a man. The name is Samuel Insull. He was that one that distributed electricity in North America. And the model was a model that the United States called democratizing. It's simple, lower the price, and much more people can acquire. Like today with the gigs of the smartphone, always less. On the right side, there is a map.
Yeah.
That map is extracted by a special plane. Is a map extracted by the first 5-year plan of Lenin. And the idea was to allow the Russia to become communist with the distribution of electricity. And so this is the reason why today you see that there is a tension between model of distributing AI, a Western model, and Chinese, for example, model. And so the question of ethics of technology are, every technological artifact is a displacement of power. Technology changed the nature of product in the market, and there is always a core view of the human beings behind the general purpose technology. So more than question for engineer, it's question for every one of us. It's question for everyone that has a care, the human beings. And every time that we use something, we are going in one direction or in another direction. And now it's time to apply this question to artificial intelligence. And the first question is, what does it mean, artificial intelligence? Well, let's see the 3 men and 1 woman, 2 men and 1 woman that are on the slide. On the top left, there is a man, the name was Claude Shannon. He's the inventor of the concept of information. Well, after the war, he applied the concept of information to control a machine. He built a little mechanical mouse that ran in a maze. All the wall of the maze was electrically connected. Every time that the mouse hit a wall, let a switch to make click and produce a rotation of the mouse of 90 degrees. And so, hitting the wall after hitting the wall, the mouse came out from the labyrinth. Developed in 1957, was sold to the market in the early year of 2000 with the name Roomba, the little vacuum cleaner that cleans alone. We need to not wire all the wall of the houses to make it workable. But the idea is, if we use the information, the click, to control the machine gain an ability that no other machine has. When we made Industrial Revolution, the machine was a surrogation of the muscle. Now, I give an hands to a machine, find the exit of the labyrinth, and the machine choose the mean. But are all the means workable for an end? So, this machine need to be guardrailed. And who has to put this guardrail? Company alone? Only the government? Welcome to ethics of AI. And so, we need to be part of this discussion as church, not only as customer, but as people that have something to say about the value of the human beings. Well, the idea of Shannon was taken by the second man on the slide. The name was Norbert Wiener. Well, Norbert Wiener tried to make a scheme to design the machine in a way in which information control what happened. And the name was cybernetics. The idea was to put a sensor before a machine, and the sensor give a signal to the machine that change the behavior of the machine. These things is so embedded in our culture that we don't notice anymore. We come to a door and we interrupt a light beam and the door will open. It's the elevator door. Start to ask, what is the best sensor for the machine? And the answer was the human beings. To allow a smartphone to understand what to do, my finger is the best sensor. Yeah. Well, let's see the third the woman on the slide, Margaret Mead, an anthropologist. Well, she pointed out a really deep problem. If we put the human being and the machine on the same level, is it the human being that acts as a sensor for the machine and control the machine? Or is the machine that is acting as a controller for the human beings? Let's back to this example. My finger that control the smartphone, or are the notification of the smartphone that control myself? And so, like you can see in the slide, the first scheme was the cybernetic scheme, sensor machine changing of behavior. But because we put the human being as a sensor, Norbert Wiener asked the human use of human beings in cybernetics. And so when the artificial intelligence name was used for the first time, they proposed to call it cybernetic, but an historian told us that because McCarthy, the inventor of the term, hate Wiener, told call like you wish, but not cybernetic. One of my professors was used to say, it's a joke. God made the most perfect beings, the university professor. Then the devil come and make the colleagues. So fight in university. But the problem is, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the core question is, who is controlling who? This is a core question for us. And I think that all the treasury of reflection, of social doctrine of the church, push us to be present in such kind of dialogue. And what we are seeing now with the election all around the world is the use of AI to control people. And now we have to go to the last point of this talk among us. From the time in which Shannon developed the mouse, something is changed. Electronics is everywhere. I put on the slide one of the most modern electrical car. I don't want to say the brand. But the idea is, before, when you buy a Hyundai, Korean brand, we have a lot in a monastery, are perfect. Cheap and perfect. Well, you buy different model with different pieces inside, different engine, different tires, and so on. Now, because this car, it's all electronic, all the car are the same. You have to download a software, pay a monthly fee, and you get a new function. It's the software that defining the reality. But you buy the hardware, but you have the software only on license. And so the power that you have, it's little. So in a software-defined reality, who own the software own the reality. Let's make a couple of examples. If we go in one of these super modern store with a lot of stuff to buy, the cashier are software machine. If that software is broken, the nature of the place change forever. It's not anymore a store, it's a warehouse. And so what does it mean? That the software define what we have. And now this software is artificial intelligence. Who decide what I can do or what I can't do? This new shifting of power is a matter of justice. It's a matter of the model of society that we would like to have. It's a matter of geopolitics because there is foreign states that are trying to influence other states. And so it's a perfect topic for a World Youth Day because touch all the citizens of the world of today. To be citizen today means to be able to questioning technologies. Now we have one of the problems that is connected to computation. Everything that happened here happened thanks to computation. The first computer was big and clunky, like you can see in the slide. These two computers was Colossus in United Kingdom and the other is ENIAC in United States. Colossus was able to crack the German code for the military use. ENIAC was able to make the calculation for the atomic bomb. Computer arise in military and for military. Next week here in Korea will be a huge conference on AI and military. I will be back next Monday to talk to government, but I love bibimbap and kimchi. I'm Italian, I love good food. When IBM produced ENIAC, helped to produce ENIAC, the CIO of IBM, Watson, said, there will be space just for 7 of these computers in the world. What a mistake. In the 50 and in the 60, computers spread around in a special form that is a centralized computational power called mainframe. In the 70s, the youth counterculture changed also the computer. Hippie and 68 culture was used to say that everything that is centralized is bad. And the hippie in the Silicon Valley would like to break the centralized computational power. And they give us the personal computer. Everyone has his own personal computational power. In the first 10 years of this century, the computational power became intimate. When I say this in the Gregorian, sometimes the students don't believe it. Well, I tell to my student, if it's not true, unlock the smartphone and give to the person to your left. If you can't, it's because there is something that is intimate inside. Sometimes I say to my friar, the thing that has most changed the consecrated life is not the Council Vatican II, is this one. We pray with this. And so we didn't reflect well on this. This is a duty for the seminarians. It's for you. You have to think on this. But at the end of the first decades of this century, there was the Arabic Spring. And we think that because they can speak freely, they would like to be democracy. And so we start to dream that this is an instrument of freedom. 10 years later, there was the riots of Capitol Hill in United States. And we start to think that this is the worst enemy of democracy. Fake news, filter bubble, and other things. But there is another event 2020 pandemic. The pandemic show us that we transform the analog life among us in a digital one. We can talk with people, we can sign documents, we can move money and things like that. So we discover that during these 20 years of this century, we digitized the democracy. And now, at the starting of the third decades, we discover if I buy a Samsung phone, there is Samsung AI. Samsung is the first. Well, but there is a problem that AI cannot be computed here. Has to be computed in a centralized computational system that is called cloud. And so the problem is that the people that control the cloud will control all the things that we digitized. And so the problem is that we have to educate ourselves and we have to make this technology compatible with democracy. My time is almost finished. I would like to finish with one consideration. The big power of artificial intelligence is that if you apply to an engineer system, can predict what happens. If you apply a lot of sensor on a huge cargo ship, the variation of vibration can tell you when the ship will break. So you don't have to stop the ship to make an inspection, and you will not have a broken ship in the middle of Pacific Ocean. So the big power of AI is prediction. But when I apply this AI, not to data produced by a machine, but to data produced by ourselves, human beings, those algorithms are not predicting, they are producing a behavior. The suggestion algorithm of the Netflix produce that you watch more movies. And so for us that we know that with the baptism, there is a unique name for each one of us. There is a call to holiness. We have to defend the freedom of ourselves. And this is something that we can express in this way. It's not enough innovation. Innovation is simple the ability to do things faster and bigger. An atomic bomb is a huge innovation on a gun, but it's not better. We need another category, and the category is development. Development is the innovation that works for the common good. We need to transform innovation in a source of development. This is the challenge. The answer will depend on us. Thank you. It's a little bit difficult because everyone makes choices in life. In Italy, we are used to have a joke on that. Everyone is the perfect trainer on the Monday after the football match on Sunday. Everyone is good to say you did well or bad after you make a choice. But to help people to make choices, there is a form of reflection that is a science that is called ethics. When we talk about ethics, we talk about different things. One thing is values. Another things are norms. Another things are principle. Well, the experience that I made at the United Nations teach me something. It's really difficult to have a global ethics based on value. Everyone has his own values and has to be so. So, for example, for me, marriage was a lower value than not to follow Jesus. For someone else, marriage is the way to follow Jesus. So we can find a value for everyone. So, not values. Norms. Also with norms is difficult, because a norm is a way to protect a value, and they could be really different around the world. But with principles, we have an extraordinary power. A principle is something that is used to solve an ethical dilemma. Supposing that you have an autonomous car, a self-driving car, and the car is an unavoidable situation in which has to decide if kill one person or two persons on the street. Well, everyone agree on a principle. Is right to minimize the damages. And so with principle, we are able to create a global community of ethics on AI. The 28th of February 2020, one day before everything go in lockdown for pandemic in Rome was signed the Rome Call for AI Ethics, written with the Holy See and signed by Microsoft, IBM, and part of the United Nations, with 6 principles inside. Last July, in Japan, 21st different religion signed that call, making that 6 principle something that is representative of the absolute majority of living people on the earth. You can universalize ethical principle. It's born from Catholic Church, but is not only of the Catholic Church. This is one of the examples to the question. Well, the first thing is to not be scared by technology. Benedict XVI teach us in Caritas in Veritate that technology is an expression of the spirits that is given to us that connect to God. But the second one is to be prudent in using the technology. Think to a coin, to a banknote, to money. Think to the money. Inside that coin, there is all the honest works of people that honestly make a huge fatigue to gain it. But there is also all the bad of human beings versus human beings that kill or make people suffer to have the money. When we have that money, the way in which we spend it put on in one side or in another side. The same thing is with AI and technology. The way in which you use put you on the right side or in the bad side. It's what Pope Francis called discernment.